there's tremendous logic behind the Talmudic way of thinking, but the logic they use might not always strike you as terribly logical. What do I mean by that? Let's look at a scenario that comes up in Daf 10 of Pesachim. So we have this one opinion that says there's two guys who are walking on two separate paths. One of them clearly is going through an area where a dead body is, and therefore the person becomes impure from passing in an impure area. The other person passes in an area without such a body, and this person is perfectly pure. The problem is we don't really know where the body is. It's underground. It's in a place we don't know which of the two paths is. We know it's on one of these two paths, but we're not sure which. Therefore, we're not sure which guy is pure and which guy is not pure. But we know one is pure and one is impure. So one of the opinions in the Gemara say that, if these two people individually came to the rabbis and said, am I pure or am I not? They would both be considered and ruled pure. But if they came together as a pair, they would both be ruled impure. So where's the logic in that? Either they're pure or they're not. Why does it matter if they go one by one or if they go two as a pair? So here's the logical leap that they are taking, or at least this one opinion is taking. It's saying that, look, if one person goes before the rabbis and says, am I pure? Well, the rabbis look at it this way. You had what we call a chazaka. You had a status quo of being pure before you walked on your path. Then you walked on a path that had a 50% chance of being impure. A 50% chance of being impure is not enough to establish, to dissolve the status quo. Therefore, the status quo still stands. You came in here pure. You only had a 50% chance of impurity. Therefore, you are still pure. So the first guy goes through that scenario and is ruled pure. The second guy comes and it's exactly the same scenario. He too had a status quo of being pure, walked on a path with a 50% chance of impurity, and therefore that 50% chance was not enough to overturn his status quo either. Now, let's take the other scenario where they go, the two of them at the same time. Here it's a very different case because with two people, there's no longer that same status quo. Now we know that one of them is 100% pure and one of them is 100% impure. We have clear knowledge that one of the two guys is impure, but we don't know which one it is. Therefore, we have to treat the two of them as both being impure out of a question of doubt. Since we know there's a certainty that somebody's impure, we don't know who it is, they both kind of have to carry some of that burden. So it's a funny scenario, but makes a certain logical sense when you look at it step by step, that if the two guys go as one, they're both impure. If the two guys go one at a time, they are both considered pure. Now, another rabbi says, this is nonsense. Just like if they go at once, they're both impure. If they go one at a time, we got to rule them both impure as well. So there are disagreements on how we see it, but you can see a bit of logic that says, going one at a time does change the scenario in a very critical way.